Here's a quick case study. A treatment center was spending about $150,000 a month on Google Ads. Leads were coming in and phones were ringing, but admissions were unpredictable. Some weeks were solid, others fell off. Staffing was harder to plan, revenue was harder to forecast, and beds weren't filling consistently. That went on for 18 months. Let me show you what was causing the drop-off and what I changed to stabilize admissions. Before we get into that, a quick bit of context on who I am and why this matters. I'm Leo Margolai. I help treatment center owners turn inconsistent marketing into steady, scalable admissions. For the past 11 years, I've worked exclusively with addiction treatment centers of all sizes. I've managed over $75 million in Google Ads spend and helped centers grow from 12 beds to 150 and beyond. So what I'm about to walk you through comes directly from what's working in the field. The next question is whether this is actually a fit, because not every treatment center operates the same way. Different budgets, different goals, different constraints. This is built specifically for PPO-focused treatment centers spending at least $30,000 a month on marketing, where performance looks fine on the surface, but admissions still feel unpredictable week to week. If planning ahead feels harder than it should, if revenue is difficult to see around the corner, or if too many of your clicks are turning into someone else's admissions, this will probably feel familiar. If that's you, this is exactly who this was built for. So let me walk you through the actual account. This client was a 26-bed PPO treatment center, spending about $150,000 a month on Google Ads. They'd already worked with 2 agencies and a freelancer, and after 18 months, they still didn't have real stability. The leads were there, but admissions were all over the place. Some weeks full, some weeks scrambling, and nobody could tell you why. Before I show you exactly what I found in this account, let me give you the lens I use to diagnose these things, because it'll make the findings a lot clearer. Most ad problems actually start after the click. What I see over and over are the same patterns. Campaigns are optimized for leads instead of admissions. There's no clear segmentation by search intent. Account structures are too broad. Tracking stops at the lead, so there's no visibility into what actually converts. Landing pages try to do too much instead of matching intent. And changes are made constantly, without a clear testing process. So on the surface, it looks like ads aren't working. But in most cases, it's the system behind them that's breaking down. When I audited this account, those same patterns showed up very clearly. Tracking stopped at the lead, which meant Google was optimizing without visibility into actual admissions. A portion of the spend was drifting into Medicaid, uninsured, and wrong number traffic that was unlikely to convert. Different types of searches, detox, residential, dual diagnosis, near me, were being grouped together, so the messaging didn't match what people were actually looking for. Extensions were quietly spending budget without producing measurable results. And one generic landing page was trying to serve every type of visitor, which weakened conversion quality. Once you put that together, the issue becomes clear. The account was generating activity, just not enough of the right admissions. In this case, we estimated around $60,000 a month was being wasted or misallocated. So here's how this actually works. I call it the click-to-admission funnel. It's just a simple way to look at the whole path: search, click, contact, opportunity, and admission. Most teams spend most of their time on the first 3. They drive clicks, generate leads, and report on volume. But leads don't always turn into admissions, and that gap between contact and admission is where things usually break down. Stability doesn't come from getting more clicks. It comes from tightening the whole system across all 5 stages. Let me show you what we changed in this account. Step 1 was fixing everything before the click. I started by cleaning up the campaign structure around intent and location. Detox, residential, and near me searches were separated, so the message actually matched what people were looking for. Then I updated the ads to fit that structure. Each campaign had its own messaging, so better traffic was seeing the right offer. From there, I tightened match types to cut down on drift, built out a solid negative keyword system, and added controls to keep Medicaid and low-intent traffic from eating up budget. The goal was simple: stop paying for the wrong clicks, and put more spend toward calls that actually turn into admissions. Step 2 was fixing what happens after the click. This is where a lot of centers lose people they already paid for. High-intent clicks don't have much patience. If someone lands on a generic brochure-style page, they bounce pretty quickly. So I kept it simple. I built pages around real intent. Detox, residential, and other searches each had their own focused page, with clear next steps and calls to action. Then I tested those against the original page. No guessing. I looked at conversion rate, call quality, and engagement, and let the data decide. Once we had a winner, I scaled it. Each type of traffic was matched to the right page, so the message stayed consistent from ad to landing. When the ad and the page line up, more of those clicks turn into qualified calls. Step 2 was fixing what happens after the click. This is where a lot of centers lose people they already paid for. High-intent clicks don't have much patience. If someone lands on a generic brochure-style page, they bounce pretty quickly. So I kept it simple. I built pages around real intent. Detox, residential, and other searches each had their own focused page, with clear next steps and calls to action. Then I tested those against the original page. No guessing. I looked at conversion rate, call quality, and engagement, and let the data decide. Once we had a winner, I scaled it. Each type of traffic was matched to the right page, so the message stayed consistent from ad to landing. When the ad and the page line up, more of those clicks turn into qualified calls. Step 3 was cleaning up where budget was quietly leaking. This is one of those areas most people don't pay much attention to, but it adds up fast. So I started by cutting anything that wasn't driving real results. Site links and callouts that were getting clicks but not turning into qualified calls were paused. Then I turned off auto-applied assets so Google wasn't adding its own messaging and pulling in the wrong traffic. From there, I rebuilt everything around high-intent searches. Clear, specific language tied to what people were actually looking for, not generic, "we can help" copy. The goal was simple: make sure every dollar was going toward qualified calls, not just activity. Up until now, Google had been learning from the wrong signals. Calls, form fills, things that looked like progress, but didn't always turn into admissions. So I changed what I was feeding it. I started passing back real outcomes, insurance approvals, and actual admissions. And I cut out the submissions and calls that never converted, so the algorithm wasn't optimizing toward dead ends. Once it had better data to work with, it started finding more of the right people on its own. And that's when the shift happens. You stop chasing more leads and start getting more admissions from the same spend. Here's what changed over about 60 days. Same budget, no increase in spend. Monthly admissions went from 12 to 21, and cost per admission dropped from around $12,000 to about $7,150. But honestly, the bigger shift wasn't just in the numbers. Things started to feel more stable week to week. Staffing got easier to plan, and forecasting stopped feeling like guesswork. No new channels, no extra marketing, just a tighter click-to-admission funnel and better results from the spend they already had. Quick self-check. Don't overthink this. If you're saying no to 3 or more of these, the volatility you're seeing probably isn't random. It's built into the system. Are your campaigns clearly separated by intent and location? Are detox and residential clicks going to their own pages, or is everything landing in the same place? Do your ads actually stand out from competitors? And when you review search terms, are you looking for patterns or just adding random negatives? Now on the tracking side, can you actually trace admissions back to specific campaigns? Are you filtering out Medicaid traffic and wrong number calls? Are extensions being reviewed so they're not quietly eating up budget? And are you feeding real outcomes back into Google, not just calls and form fills? Simple rule of thumb: fix these leaks before you increase spend. If you want to apply this to your own center, the next step is pretty simple. Start with a click-to-admission audit. Whether you want me to handle everything or you already have a team in place, this works as a starting point. I'll map out your full funnel from search through admission, show you where budget and admits are being lost, and give you a clear, prioritized list of fixes you can act on right away. And even if we don't end up working together, you'll still walk away with a clear picture of what's broken and what to fix. The audit is designed to be useful on its own. I keep this limited to 3 audits per month so I can go deep on each one. If you want one, you can grab a time at the link on screen.